I never thought my son's 6th birthday photos would lead to a police investigation. But here I am, sitting in our living room at 2 a.m., unable to sleep as I stare at the images spread across our coffee table, each one more disturbing than the last. It started as a small celebration. Just Tommy, my husband Mark, and me. Mark's job as a traveling consultant meant he missed most of Tommy's birthdays, but this year he'd managed to fly home for the weekend. We wanted to keep things simple. Cake, presents, and plenty of pictures to capture every moment. Our house, a charming 2-story colonial on a quiet cul-de-sac, was decorated with blue and red balloons, Tommy's current favorite colors. He'd been going through a superhero phase, so everything had to match his Captain America theme. I'd spent hours decorating the backyard, setting up his new swing set, an early present from Mark, and arranging the perfect backdrop for photos. The day went perfectly. Tommy was ecstatic about his gifts, especially the new tablet from us and the collection of action figures from his grandparents. Mark managed to assemble the swing set without too many consultations with YouTube tutorials, and I'd actually succeeded in baking a cake that didn't lean to one side. We sang Happy Birthday, took dozens of pictures, and watched Tommy blow out his candles. Everything was normal. Perfect, even. Until tonight, when Tommy asked to see the pictures before bedtime. He was curled up next to me on the couch, still wearing his Captain America pajamas, swiping through the photos on my phone. His excitement was contagious as he relived each moment, opening presents, playing on his new swing set, posing with his cake. Then he stopped. His little body went rigid against mine, and the hand holding my phone started trembling. "Mommy," he whispered, his voice so quiet I barely heard him. "Who's that man?" I leaned closer, thinking he was pointing at Mark in one of the backyard shots. But Mark had been wearing a blue polo that day. The figure Tommy was pointing at was wearing dark clothes, and it wasn't in the backyard. It was inside our house, visible through the dining room window in the background of Tommy's cake-cutting photo. "Tommy, honey, what man?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady as I took the phone from his shaking hands. "The scary man," he said, shrinking against me. "The one who watches me sleep." My blood turned to ice. "What do you mean, watches you sleep?" Tommy's lower lip trembled. "Sometimes when I wake up at night, he's standing in my doorway. I thought he was Daddy, but Daddy's not that tall." I zoomed in on the photo, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. The figure was partially hidden by the curtain, but I could make out enough to know it definitely wasn't Mark. The person was tall, unnaturally so, and seemed to be wearing dark clothing that blended with the shadows. But what made my heart stop was the fact that they appeared to be looking directly at the camera, at us. "Tommy," I said, trying to sound calm, "why didn't you tell me about the man before?" He shrugged, a gesture that broke my heart with its innocence. I thought it was normal, like Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy. I quickly scrolled through the other photos from that day. In most of them, nothing seemed amiss. But then I found another one, Tommy opening presents in the living room. There, reflected in the TV screen behind him, was the same dark figure, standing in the hallway. And another, Tommy playing with his new toys, the figure visible through the glass doors leading to the backyard. And another, Tommy on his new swing set, the figure watching from behind the garden shed. My hands were trembling so badly now that I nearly dropped the phone. The photos were taken hours apart, meaning this person had been there the entire time, watching us, watching my son. And we'd had no idea. I grabbed Tommy's hand. "Sweetie, we're going to play a game. We're going to very quietly go up to Mommy's room and call Daddy. Okay?" He nodded, picking up on my fear despite my attempted cheerfulness. We made it halfway up the stairs when we heard it, the distinct sound of footsteps in our basement. Tommy's grip on my hand tightened. "Mommy," he whispered, "the scary man usually comes up from the basement." My mind raced through horrible possibilities. How long had this person been watching us? How had they gotten into our house? Why hadn't our security system detected anything? The basement door was visible from where we stood on the stairs. It was closed, but I could see shadows moving in the gap beneath it. Someone was definitely down there, moving around, coming closer to the door. I scooped Tommy up and ran the rest of the way upstairs, closing and locking my bedroom door behind us. My hands shook as I dialed 911 while Tommy huddled against me, his small body trembling. 911. What's your emergency? "There's someone in my house," I whispered, hearing the basement door creak open downstairs. "They've been watching us, watching my son. Please hurry." As I gave our address to the dispatcher, I heard heavy footsteps slowly ascending our stairs. Tommy buried his face in my chest, and I held him tighter, both of us sitting in the dark, waiting, listening to those footsteps getting closer and closer to our door. The last thing I remember before the police arrived was Tommy whispering, "Mommy, he's humming my birthday song." The next few hours passed in a blur of flashing lights and police questions. They searched our house thoroughly but found no one. The basement door was still open, just as we'd heard it, but the intruder had vanished. What they did find made my skin crawl. A makeshift bed hidden behind our old decorations in the basement's darkest corner, surrounded by food wrappers and water bottles. Someone had been living in our house. For how long, we couldn't be sure. Detective Sarah Martinez sat across from me at our kitchen table, her dark eyes serious as she reviewed the birthday photos on my phone. Tommy was upstairs with a female officer, drawing pictures of the scary man he'd seen. Mark was on the next flight home. "Mrs. Anderson," Detective Martinez said, zooming in on one of the photos, "your security system shows no breaches, no forced entry. Has anyone besides your family had access to your house recently? Maintenance workers? Cleaners?" I shook my head, clutching my cold coffee. "No one except the real estate agent who showed us the house 6 months ago." She looked up sharply. "You moved in recently?" "Yes, after Mark's promotion. The previous owners were an elderly couple who moved to Florida." I paused, remembering something, though our neighbor mentioned they left rather suddenly. Detective Martinez made a note in her notebook. "We'll look into that. In the meantime, I need to ask about these photos." She turned my phone toward me, showing the picture of Tommy on his swing set. "Look at the timestamp." I leaned forward, frowning. The photo was taken at 2:47 p.m. The next one, showing the figure behind the shed, was taken at 2:47 p.m. as well, exactly the same time. "That's impossible," I whispered. "We've checked all the photos," she said quietly. "Every time this figure appears, there's an identical photo taken at the exact same second without them. It's as if someone took another set of photos." I finished, feeling sick. She nodded grimly. "We found this in your basement." She pulled out an evidence bag containing a camera, not mine, but similar enough that you wouldn't notice the difference from a distance. "Mrs. Anderson, we believe someone was mimicking your actions that day. Every time you took a photo, they took one too. They wanted to show you they were there watching." A sob caught in my throat. "But why? Why would someone do this?" Before she could answer, her radio crackled. "Detective, you need to see this. Second floor, master bedroom." We rushed upstairs. 2 officers stood in my bedroom, one holding the UV light over my wall. In fluorescent blue, barely visible to the naked eye, were hundreds of tiny handprints. "They're child-sized," one officer said quietly. Detective Martinez turned to me. "Have you noticed Tommy sleepwalking? Getting up at night?" "No," I said, but then remembered something that made my blood run cold. "But he's been complaining about being tired lately. Said he has weird dreams about playing with other kids in his room at night." The detective's face hardened. "Mrs. Anderson, I need you to pack some bags. You and Tommy can't stay here tonight." As I moved to get our things, she stopped me with a gentle hand on my arm. "There's something else you need to see." She led me to Tommy's room, where another officer was examining the ceiling vent. He'd removed the cover, revealing a small digital camera pointed directly at Tommy's bed. "It's wireless," the officer explained, "broadcasting to somewhere nearby." I ran to the bathroom and threw up, my mind racing with horrible images of someone watching my baby sleep, possibly for months. When I came out, Detective Martinez was on her phone, her voice tense. "The previous owners," she said after hanging up. "They're moved to Florida. We can't find any record of them actually arriving there. In fact, we can't find any recent records of them at all." A horrible thought struck me. "Detective, that corner in the basement where you found the bed, that's where Tommy said he sometimes heard other kids playing." She was already radioing for backup when we heard Tommy scream from downstairs. We raced down to find him pointing at the TV, which had somehow turned itself on. The screen showed a live feed of an empty bedroom, Tommy's bedroom. But it wasn't just Tommy's room we were seeing. The feed kept switching between different angles, different rooms, different houses, different children's bedrooms. "Mommy, Tommy whispered. That's where the other kids live. The ones who play with me in my dreams. Detective Martinez was already barking orders into her radio. We need units at every house on this street. Now. As officers rushed out, I held Tommy close, watching in horror as the TV continued its grotesque slideshow. My son wasn't the only child being watched. He wasn't the only one in danger. And somewhere, probably closer than we imagined, someone was still watching. The next 48 hours revealed horrors beyond our imagination. Police raids on every house in our cul-de-sac uncovered hidden cameras in 7 different homes, all with children under 10. The elaborate surveillance system was running through an underground network of old storm drains connecting our basements, drains that weren't on any city plans. Mark held me as Detective Martinez explained their findings. The previous owners, James and Martha Wilson, never existed, at least not the elderly couple you met. We found records of the real Wilsons from 1987. They disappeared after reporting their 6-year-old son missing. The house has changed hands 4 times since then. She continued, always sold by an elderly couple to families with young children. Always with the same pattern. The couple would move to Florida within a year, leaving no trace. I thought about the camera footage, the hidden networks, the years of planning this would have taken. How many children? We identified 12 missing children cases connected to this neighborhood over the past 30 years, she said grimly. We're searching the tunnel system now. Tommy hadn't spoken much since that night, but he'd drawn dozens of pictures. Children playing in dark rooms, a tall man in black, and something that made the detectives exchange worried looks. A recurring symbol of a butterfly with numbers beneath it. It's a signature, Detective Martinez explained, spreading out Tommy's drawings. We've seen it before, connected to an underground organization that targets children. They've been operating for decades, but we've never been able to trace them. Until now. The investigation moved quickly after that. They found the broadcast center hidden in a concealed room within the storm drain system. Sophisticated equipment, years of recorded footage, and files on hundreds of children across the country. But what broke the case wide open came from Tommy himself. The butterfly man had friends, he told the child psychologist during his interview. They came to my birthday party, but they looked different then. Not scary. They looked like the people who live here. His words triggered a massive operation. Within days, arrests were made across our seemingly peaceful neighborhood. The friendly mailman. The woman who walked her dog every morning. The school bus driver. All part of an elaborate network. All wearing perfect disguises. All watching our children. The elderly couple who sold us the house. They were caught trying to flee the country, neither elderly nor a couple, but master manipulators who'd been running this operation for years. When they searched their latest Florida address, they found evidence linking them to similar operations in 12 other states. Tommy's dreams of playing with other children, they had been drugging him through his bedroom vent, testing a new technique on all the neighborhood kids. The thought of what might have happened if we hadn't discovered those photos still keeps me awake at night. 3 weeks after Tommy's birthday, Detective Martinez visited us at the hotel where we'd been staying. Her face told me she had news she didn't want to share. We found them, she said quietly, in the deepest part of the tunnel system. The missing children from all those years. She couldn't finish. I didn't ask for details. Some truths are too heavy to bear. We sold the house, of course. Moved across the country. Changed our names. Tommy's in therapy, dealing with what happened better than any of us expected. Children are resilient, they say, but sometimes I catch him checking his bedroom vent just to make sure. Mark installed the most sophisticated security system available in our new home. I've gotten rid of every smart device that could possibly be hacked. Some might call it paranoid, but they didn't see what we saw. They don't know what we know. Last week, Tommy drew his first picture without a butterfly in it. It was just our family standing in front of our new house, smiling. The child psychologist said it's a good sign. He's finally feeling safe again. But sometimes, when I'm reviewing our security footage late at night, a habit I can't break. I think about those other parents, the ones who never knew what happened to their children. I think about how close we came to being one of them. And I think about that birthday photo, the one that saved not just Tommy, but possibly dozens of other children. If he hadn't noticed that figure in the window, if he hadn't been brave enough to tell me about the scary man, Yesterday, Tommy asked if we could have a birthday party next year. A real one, with friends from his new school. I hesitated, the memories still too fresh. But then I saw the hope in his eyes. Of course we can, sweetheart, I said. But this time Mommy's going to take all the pictures herself. He hugged me tight and whispered, "Don't worry, Mommy. The butterfly man can't find us here. I checked all the vents myself." As I held him, I realized that while our story had a happier ending than most, it would never truly be over. The organization was still out there, despite the arrests. Children were still disappearing. But now people know what to look for. Police departments across the country are checking real estate patterns, investigating suspicious elderly couples, examining storm drain systems. And every night, I say a quiet thank you to whatever made Tommy look twice at that birthday photo. Sometimes the monsters hiding in the background of our perfect pictures are real. Sometimes they're wearing our neighbors' faces. And sometimes it takes a child's eyes to see the truth adults have been missing all along.